Next, I'd like to introduce Troy King, Principal Consultant at Outside the Three. With a deep understanding of neuroscience and a passion for unravelling the complexities of human behaviour. Troy is here to captivate us with his talk on Brains Are Weird, Humans Are Messy. In a world where our brains often lead us down irrational paths, Troy will shed light on the peculiar ways our minds function. Thank you very much, Troy.
As humans, we're controlled by a 1.5 kilogram clump of fatty electrified tissue living in its own matrix simulation, trying to clumsily steer us through life. So we're going to examine 4 parts of our algorithm that actually control us more than we control it. You see, we're hit by 11 million bits of information every second. And even though we've got 100 billion neurons, we only process about 40 to 50 of those consciously. It's what we do with the rest of that information that dictates much of our behaviour. You see, the brain is extremely binary in the way it does so many things. We constantly try to minimise risk and maximise reward. We talk about our in-group, our friends, and we love their success. We want to sabotage our out-group because they're our enemies. We think fast and slow, and we approach and avoid. But part of the bias that we have is heavily weighted towards avoiding risk, and this is the problem, because we're actually sometimes blocked or prevented or demotivated from actually achieving the very things that we want to do, like budget spreadsheets for Leonie. We're hardwired for an in-group and out-group. You see, this causes great harmony but also great divide in the world, as we've seen in the last few years. We want our in-group to succeed because we feel that success. We want our out-group to fail because we don't want them to win. We get triggered, and that's our reaction base. It's very emotional, but it's extremely error-prone in type 1 processing. Type 2 processing is the prefrontal cortex. It's far more rational, and it thinks about the consequences of things. And so it's really important, as we're constantly trying to predict the future, what we're going to do with this. All of our happy memories, but also all of our trauma, comes into our matrix simulation to decide how we're going to respond to that. And the way that our brain does that is through this complex mechanism, and there's right at the centre of it is this anterior cingulate cortex. It's the most wonderful attention director of our brain. It's what can hear our name spoken in a noisy, crowded room. And so it processes all this information based on some catalogue of information. The anterior cingulate cortex takes some hashtags from the amygdala about emotions. We're happy, we're sad, we're angry. From the insular cortex about moral justice, right and wrong. And it takes our Netflix episodes and our hippocampus and replays that and decides whether we approach or whether we avoid. Will we step into the unknown? Or will we become so overwhelmed with stress that we can't move? We can flip that though. We can take that step. We can see that we have overcome hard times in the past. So let's step into that. But our brain is trying to create habit loops wherever it can and save energy. You think about the first time you learnt to drive, you were so overwhelmed with fear, but now you pull into your driveway and you go, what happened in the last 5 minutes? I don't remember. That's your basal ganglia and your striatum kicking in. Negative thinking is far easier and our memories are so much more vivid. But we can flip that to positivity by becoming curious about the emotions we're feeling, labelling them specifically, and then flipping that and looking for the silver lining. Now, for neurotypicals, multitasking is indeed a myth. It causes brain fog, it's task switching, it halves our performance, it doubles our errors. But also, one ringing phone or a social media notification drops our IQ by 10 points because the brain needs quiet. 5 minutes of mindfulness can give 2 hours of improved performance. We need psychological safety. We need trust for creativity and performance. Why? Because we are highly connected beings. Everything comes down to that in-group, out-group bias. You see, our mirror neurons take on the behaviours, the thoughts and the actions of those around us. A connected brain is one that equals oxytocin and equals a happy brain. And we respond to these things. But if we're disconnected, if we're harassed, if we're bullied, then we process that social pain on the same neural networks as physical pain. FOMO is real, people. But the really wonderful thing about this is that there's this information that we can take into work, because punishment and rewards don't create motivation. Doing things that matter does. And this is where psychological safety and trust is at the core of every high-performing team. Why? Well, Harvard did an interview of Fortune 500 companies, all sorts of interviews, leadership teams, all sorts of questions. It came down to one single question. How do you feel after you've met with your boss? So we've had a crash course in neuroscience today. I hope you've had a little aha moment about some of the things that I've shown you. I want you to be a scientist of your own matrix simulation. Take a little bit of quiet time, but most of all, I want you to be excellent to each other. Whether it's a bit of appreciation to the people that you're passing in the street, saying Happy Wednesday to anyone that'll listen, or building deep-seated trust to those in your core tribe, make sure you have a positive impact on their brain and on yours.